First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for being upset that my older sister told my mom about her pregnancy and planned for termination at my wedding rehearsal dinner? I got married last weekend and have been waiting to post this in case my feelings subsided, but I'm still pretty upset. Last Friday at my rehearsal dinner, which wasn't even really a rehearsal dinner, just my family and my in-laws getting dinner together after pre-wedding preparation, girls getting their nails done, men getting beards trimmed and haircuts, etc. My sister asked my parents to go outside with her and apparently told them she was pregnant and planned on getting an abortion. I could tell they were noticeably upset when they came back, but that was common after conversations with my sister because she was a little bit of a wild card. The following day, my wedding day, my mom and sister were very distant and whispering to each other throughout my getting ready, and also spent most of my reception doing the same thing, just this time with my dad. My father missed our father-daughter dance, and none of my family made a toast or any sort of acknowledgement really that I had gotten married. I waited until the end of the reception and asked them what was up. My sister told me she was pregnant and getting an abortion on the 20th. I responded negatively and got angry that she told our parents this at my wedding, and then got angry at my parents for ignoring me my whole wedding, missing our dance and not getting any photos together. I got my husband and we left, and I got calls and texts saying I was being incredibly selfish and that my sister needed their support. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She could have asked for support the day after your wedding. She sounds very selfish. Not the a-hole. None of this could wait 48 hours? Of course not, because then everyone would be paying attention to you and not her. Not the a-hole. She clearly pulled focus from your big day. I am unclear as to why your father missed the dance. Was he involved as well? Congratulations on your wedding. Yes, at my reception. They were nowhere to be found pretty much the entire time. That sucks. Is your sister always like that? Hugging the spotlight? Usually, yes, but my parents make it very easy. Not the a-hole. Being pregnant isn't an emergency. She could have waited to tell them. Your parents are a-holes too, because they should have shut that down. Wow, that's a lot to work out. Let's enjoy the weekend and your sister's wedding. Can you come for dinner Sunday night and we can talk? Your dad missed the father-daughter dance. Freaking ouch. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my niece host her wedding at my castle? 28 years ago, my wife and I combined our savings, most of which came from inheritance after my father's passing, and bought our castle in southern Europe. It was actually a derelict farmhouse with some land, but it has a small turret, so our families always referred to it as the castle. My wife and I decided we'd rather have a small, basic house in our home country and focus our time and resources readying the castle for us to retire in and for our children to enjoy. It took years, but around the time our eldest was born, it was finally finished. It's not massive, 5 bedrooms and a small pool in the gardens, but it is our paradise. We've always allowed our families and friends to use it whenever they please, and have spent every summer vacation staying there with our children. Our only stipulation when people stay there is that the master bedroom is off limits. It takes up most of the 3rd floor, with the remaining bedrooms on the 2nd floor. A lot of my and my wife's belongings are in there, and it's also the room we have shared together for over 20 years. Recently, my niece got engaged and held an engagement party on Zoom at the weekend. When asked what ideas they had so far, she excitedly told me they'd actually been planning to ask us if they could hold a wedding at the castle. I was a bit taken aback, but didn't want to outright refuse. I joked it would have to be a rather small wedding, since they'd struggled to fit more than 25 people in the gardens. She gushed that she'd already thought it through, and they'd put up canopies in the field nearby. We don't own that land, and if all the guests stayed in hotels in the town, she would arrange transportation for us all to get to the villa. My wife and I bit our tongues, not wanting to make a fuss during their engagement celebration. But later, when my niece texted me to repeat what she'd said, I asked her to clarify the sleeping arrangements, and after some back and forth, it came to light. She plans to use the master bedroom as a bridal suite, and for the wedding party to have the remaining rooms. My wife, children, and I would have to stay elsewhere. I slept on my decision and spoke with my wife. On Sunday, I responded and politely refused, saying it's too small, and we aren't comfortable having anyone in our room. Both she and my sister blew up at me, telling me I was ruining her wedding and she'd always dreamed of marrying at the castle. My sister even said since I used my inheritance, it's family property, which is obviously ridiculous. Added to add, when we texted her on Sunday, We offered a compromise. No master bedroom, and either get permission/insurances to use the fields, or reduce guest count to 25. We even offered to host a small rehearsal too, but she rejected the offers. That is when we outright refused. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Do you know what your sister bought with her part of the inheritance? If so, good news, it's yours now. Be sure to let her know. Sorry, I missed the sarcasm. I'm a bit tense just now. Yeah, I shut her down pretty quickly in that regard. Well, yes, we've let them use our property freely over the years. That doesn't mean they own it. I agree. Not the a-hole. You offered a compromise, but she refused. This isn't just an extra property that you rent out. It is your second home and where you plan on retiring. Although I don't think it would be the end of the earth to accommodate them, the fact they expect you and your immediate family to rent hotel rooms to attend a wedding in your property is ridiculous. Also, all these plans hinge on her getting access to property that you don't own to host canopies. And not to mention that she will need access to the castle ahead of time to set up all the vendors and do walkthrough. It is a bigger commitment and expense than she realizes. Just an aside, you would also have to get some sort of event insurance policy to cover anyone getting injured or driving drunk or damaging the neighboring property. Something to consider too. Thank you. I hadn't even considered vendors and insurances, but you're completely right. I'm not even sure how you would get that kind of insurance in that area. I think one of the reasons she is planning to use the fields is when the children were younger, we'll let them play there. So I'm not sure if she now takes it for granted we can use that area, but a wedding is very different to 3 kids playing amongst the trees. Not the a-hole. It's your property, and they shouldn't expect your whole family to vacate the property so they can have a wedding in your home. That's incredibly selfish. For the next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to buy a wedding gift for my cousin when I'm the free photographer and not an invited guest? My cousin Leah, 35 female, is getting married next year, COVID permitting, to her longtime boyfriend. I, 25 female, am a professional photographer. I'm not an expert in wedding etiquette, so I'm out of my depth here. My cousin and I were never terribly close growing up, given our age difference and geographical separation. We only saw each other once a year growing up. We are the only girls out of 20-plus cousins, so we often got lumped in together, but we are very different people. For example, she comes from a small-town religious background, and when I got my ears pierced at 19, she told me unprompted that if God wanted my ears pierced, He would have made me with more holes in my head. Her comment didn't offend me, but given that I was, and still am queer and agnostic, her level and type of religious conviction didn't help our relationship. A few months ago, I saw her engagement announcement on Facebook, and when invitations to her wedding were sent out, my mom got invited, but I didn't. I wasn't hurt by this at all, given that my cousin and I aren't close. Shortly thereafter, Leah reached out and asked me to be her wedding photographer, shooting everything from the bridal party getting ready, the ceremony, to the reception. She asked how much I would charge, and since I don't like mixing business and family, I told her it would be my wedding gift to her if she was okay with it. Wedding photography often costs upwards of $1,000, so she accepted. I thought this was fair because I will be on duty the whole day and therefore won't be enjoying myself as a guest like the rest of our family. It turns out everyone else was invited. Her venue is 4 hours away, so I will also be covering my own transportation and accommodations. Additionally, it will cost me business since I usually do 1 to 2 photo shoots a week for other clients that won't be possible that week. About a month later, she sent me the link to the wedding registry and told me she was letting family have first dibs and to let my mom know as well. I wasn't sure what to say, so I just replied that I would pass it along. Then a few days ago, my cousin asked me what I was going to pick off her registry for her wedding. I was surprised since we had agreed my photography would be my wedding gift. When I reminded her, she told me that she and her fiancé are really counting on people gifting from their registry for their new house and that most items are less than $200, so I should just pick something. Before I could respond, she went on Facebook and made a semi-vague post complaining about family being selfish and greedy when she needed support. I'm at loss here. All in all, doing photography for her wedding is going to cost me a couple of grand, and I wasn't even invited. I'm attending as staff. I feel like she's devaluing my work and taking advantage of my generosity, given that we're essentially blood-related acquaintances. Am I the a-hole for insisting that my services as a photographer are my wedding gift to her? Edited to add, to be clear, I don't think I'm the a-hole, but she seems to think so, and my family and people responding to her Facebook post were agreeing with her. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Is the semi-vague post on Facebook pointed enough to identify you? Because if it isn't, I would serenely ignore it because it couldn't possibly be directed at me. My gift is $2,000 of professional photography. If it is pointed enough to identify you, well, personally, I'd rescind the free photography and buy the cheapest item in the registry. Or, more likely as the judgmental a-hole I am, a cheaper version because I can't afford expensive items cousin chose. Her Facebook post wasn't enough to identify me, so I did leave it alone. When it comes with family, I'd rather disengage than be pulled into their drama. My family is far too big to care about what each of them is saying all of the time. But I definitely like your advice. Lol. Not the a-hole. Aside from the fact that you gave her your skills as a gift and that she knew and accepted thus at the time, the rudeness of asking you what you were selecting off the registry is breathtaking. Did she work her way down the list, calling all the guests who hadn't purchased something yet? I have to admit, part of what shocked me the most was her directly asking me what gift I was getting her. To me, that was beyond rude. And yes, as far as I can tell, even though her wedding is almost a year away, she's calling up family to see what they're buying her. My mother got a similar message. Now, for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving sister $70,000 for wedding? I, 32 female, got married 4 years ago, and my 35 male husband and his family are many times over millionaires. My family is just middle class. Our wedding cost around $700,000, paid by him and his parents. Our parents gave me a flat fee of $10,000 for a dress, which they are giving to my sister too. So, my 25 female sister and her 26 male fiancé are lower class. Her $170,000, him $110,000. Student loan debt, interest made it grow crazy. An $18,000 medical debt and $35,000 credit card debt. Well, last night was my sister's birthday dinner, and she announced she was engaged and wanted help paying for her wedding. She gave me a spreadsheet of how much she was going to need for her dream wedding. Anyways, her dream wedding is supposed to cost $100,000, and as her only sister, I need to step up and help her pay for wedding since our parents only gave her $10,000. She said she needs me to give her at least $70,000 since I'm rich now. When I told her I'm not giving her $70,000, she cried and said it isn't fair I get whatever I want. When she realized I wasn't going to budge, she broke down about how I'm just using motherhood to be greedy and lazy. I have twins, 2 years old. I eventually told her I wasn't going to be bullied into giving her $70,000. She's 15 weeks pregnant, hence why she's in a rush to be married right away. When I tried to leave, she just snapped. I'm a bad mother since my mother-in-law stays over often. Anyways, she screamed about how I BDP for the first few months after giving birth wasn't real, and that I only had BDP to cover up I'm a terrible mother, and even worse wife since I wasn't well enough for intercourse for a few months. I told mom and mom told her. I feel bad for her since I know she's struggling, but I hate her for saying that kind of stuff in front of strangers. My brother, who is usually neutral, says I should forgive her since she's stressed from crippling debt and has 2 kids and third on the way. Her 8-year-old's dad doesn't pay child support. Her 4-year-old's dad pays almost nothing in child support. Families don't help either. Claimed I'm jealous of her since she's younger than me, and that since I'm over 30, my husband is probably cheating on me with a housekeeper and nanny for all I know, since I'm never home. I have helpers twice a week, mostly just to salon with friends and weekly date night. She's mad at our parents because they were more happy for me. They helped for the first 2 months. Our parents didn't want her to keep her kids since she couldn't provide, so they refused to help with shower or anything else. She thinks I should have let her and her family move in my condo, since it's 3-bedroom, 6 bathrooms. She wanted me to put my kids in husband's office, her kids and my son's, and she and her fiancé go in my daughter's room. They live in small 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. She and her family stay in one room and my parents stay in the other room. Reason is because world event happened and couldn't make rent. My husband is completely done with her. He said I can forgive her, but he won't. Our parents want to forget. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but like what? How can your parents give her $10,000 for a dress if they're also broke that they need to share a 2-bedroom apartment? Why would your sister ever even consider planning a $100,000 wedding if she is over $300,000 in debt and can't even support herself? This doesn't make sense. Is your sister just delusional? They downgraded after my sister moved out 3 years ago. Their place is nice, but not made for 4 grown-ups and 2 kids. Not the a-hole. You need to give me at least 70,000 because you're rich now. A good enough reason to not give her any money for her wedding. Not the a-hole. So her reasoning is that you are jealous of her that she has 3 kids by 3 different fathers, has massive credit card debts and student loans, and so you should show how not jealous you are by giving her your condo and 70,000 for her dream wedding. After the horrid things she said about you as a mother, and about your husband cheating on you because you are old, I would never talk to her again. Not the a-hole, but how on earth did your wedding cost 700,000? Wedding costs, from what I remember. Rings were heirlooms but had to be resized, $500. Reception venue, $140,000. Ceremony venue, $30,000. Transportation, $20,000. Photographer, $9,000. Planner, $11,000. Bride and bridesmaids attire, $70,000. Groom and groomsmen attire, $30,000. Entertainment, $150,000. Catering, $90,000. Cake, $3,000. Decor, $17,000. Invitations and favors, $5,000. Honeymoon, $60,000. Bachelor party, $35,000. Bachelorette party, $33,000. Shower, $18,000. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.